video is going to be about making money with plants. Plants are a huge friggin' industry. They're always going to be around. They're just going to get more and more valuable because there's more species dying every day than there are being found. So more going extinct than there are being discovered or created as far as new species goes. And if you get one of them extinct species out there, depending on what the plant is, it can be worth tons and tons and tons of money too. Basically, I'm going to be approaching this from the simplest way possible to make money with plants. Not really going to focus too much into growing food. This is more so going to be like landscaping plants or house plants. Just as simple as it gets and as least little headaches as possible. Alright, where I'm going to start with in this one is basically making, you can sell plants on eBay is basically what this revolves around. And you can also do sales through other things like local, or maybe set it up with some local landscapers that you supply plants for. Or you could start your own e-commerce website. You could sell through Facebook. You could sell through garage sales. You could sell to plant nurseries. You could grow plants for them to resell themselves. You could go about it a ton of different ways, but one of the easiest ways to start would obviously be just starting an eBay account and selling plants online. And a great way to do this is basically you can do this without having any stock at all. You basically just need your rooted hormone, which will be the hormone you put onto cuttings to get them to root faster and easier. You can save up a bunch of free things like use water bottles to make the pots, or use old cups or something, or go to a local thrift store and buy a bunch of stuff to use for pots. Yeah, essentially things like that. I mean, you don't even really necessarily need pots for a lot of things like rooted cuttings. You can just get them to start growing, and you don't even necessarily have to have the cuttings in soil. A lot of them you can start rooting right in water. And the way this is going to be done, basically you set up an eBay auction or a eBay for sale thing at Buy It Now for say 50, I don't know what name of bush, I don't know any names of bushes really, but basically a landscaping bush, any type of here we go, a lilac bush. You make a bunch of lilac bush cuttings basically, which all you have to do for that is cut a branch off of a lilac tree, dip it in the rooted hormone, and stick it in water, foam, plant food, or soil. And once it roots, now you have a rooted cutting. So basically you could do that. You set up an eBay auction or an eBay Buy It Now thing, and you say 50 lilac cuttings for $100. You don't even have to have these things in stock so long as it's still in season. Like it has to be summertime or a time where you can go out, get these clippings that you can turn into rooted cuttings. It has to be in season like that. But other than that, that's the only really requirement. So essentially you set up your auctions and your for sale things. Now, whenever something sells is when you're going to start creating your product. You basically set up your eBay account to have, say, a 4-week handling time, and then say right in your eBay description that you make these rooted cuttings to order. So whenever somebody orders one, you're creating them. It takes down on all kinds of costs. You don't have to have things set up. You don't have to have plants sitting around taking up space, yada, yada, yada. You just go out, clip a bunch of cuttings when you need to make them. You know, you could even do double how much they buy just because, you know, it's probably like a 75% success rate to cuttings that end up taking root. So, I mean, you just do 200 to be safe. Or, do 100 since you're selling 50. And, yeah, whatever ones end up rooting, just sell to the guy. Send him some extras, of course, just in case some get damaged in the mail or whatever. I mean, it's literally costing you basically nothing to do this. So, essentially, you have a product that costs you, all it costs you is, the cost to run like what would they call them, a full spectrum fluorescent bulb. Keep a room at like a moist, like 80-degree temperature that's humid, and that and the rooted cutting hormone, and I mean, soil and stuff like that maybe, or like plant food or the stuff to get them started. That might be an initial cost, but once you have the basic stuff for getting these things started, all it's going to cost you is rooted cutting hormone and electricity for the bulb, replacement bulb, and that's about it, pretty much. That's about it. And basically, once you get your 50 cuttings rooted, you don't even need to mail them in soil. What a lot of people do is they'll end up wrapping their plants in like a wet napkin or something, or perhaps there's a certain thing you could even order online, perhaps like a certain type of foam that's meant for mailing plants. You probably wouldn't want to use these for rooted cuttings though, maybe just more expensive plants. And yeah, basically just get 50 plus rooted cuttings rooted, and then you just mail it to them, essentially fold it up in a wet paper towel. Just go one layer, one plant with wet paper towel above it, and stack them just like that. And as long as you're doing priority mail or first class mail, generally it'll get there in 1 to 2 days, really, most of the time. And other than that, it's usually not that much longer. And plants, almost all plants can pretty much handle that short period of time without sunlight or whatever. And when you're working with rooted cuttings, then even easier to do this because they don't require as much sunlight and things like that. It's more about the environment, like having a moist area that's pretty warm with I don't know, just making sure that it's the ideal conditions, like warm, humid. What else would there be? Just no bugs in there, I guess. But yeah, anyway, basically you set up the auction. Once it sells, you start creating the rooted cutting things. Then you just go ahead and mail them, 50 of them straight in the mail, just like I said, by stacking them layer by layer with wet paper towel and plant. And yeah, I mean, you're creating a product from almost absolutely nothing. It costs a few bucks to get the rooted cutting hormone. And yeah, you can start them all even in soil if you gotta. Just go dig up some free soil, save up a bunch of empty water bottles and cut them in half, use the bottom part, poke holes in the bottom so it strains, put the dirt in there, start your cuttings in there, and then yeah, just pull them all out of the soil when it's time to ship. But I mean, it's really that simple. I mean, you can do this for tons and tons of different plants. The main thing you're limited by pretty much is what grows around you. Whatever grows around you is going to be best to focus on, because that's something that you can just walk out of your door, find, and start clipping cuttings off. And generally there's going to be abundance of it around if you're in that climate. And I mean, you could also sell to like private landscape contractors, etc., and just do things. Basically, you don't start making a product until it's already sold. So it's really a perfect business model. Super cheap to ship. You're creating a product out of nothing, which you can also replace. Say if some of them got damaged or if something went wrong, you could just do the same thing over again and replace the product. You're creating something out of basically nothing. You just find a mother plant out there and snip a bunch of 2-inch little branches off of it and just get them rooted. And once they're rooted, it's officially a rooted cutting. And yeah, you can make huge money doing that because you don't have to really have an inventory or anything. You just walk around in the woods, find certain plants that you know are able to root through rooted cutting process. You could even test that out by just going out, cutting off a bunch of branches from random bushes, finding out which ones do take root, and just working with them. Then just identify the plant and list it on eBay, and whenever it sells, just go out and make them up. Doesn't take up any space or nothing. I mean, it only takes like a week or two to go through the rooted process. So I mean, especially like one of the best things to buy if you really did put money into it too would be a rooted cutting irrigation system, which would be like a few $100. But once you have that, I mean, sky's the limit. From there, you could crank out 500 rooted cuttings in, a few hours, maybe 2-3 hours to do that, and that's it. Not even. You could probably do 500 rooted cuttings in an hour if you put your mind to it. That is like not including like travel time, the time it takes to cut them, the time it takes to dip them, the time it takes to place them, and the time it takes to monitor them, basically. Not even an hour to make 500, I'd say. But yeah, it's just huge because you're making stuff on demand too, and it's a product you create. You have full control over it. It's huge. Anyway, certain plants are gonna be worth more than others, of course. So just kind of go on to eBay, maybe even, and type in uh, landscaping shrub, and just see what comes up, and then go to complete listings. Whatever's in green is selling. You could even grow those. Just go out into your yard, buy one of these plants at a smaller stage, or maybe even just go out into the woods and find a big plant and just dig it up and plant in your yard. Oh yeah, the reason you'd have to order a plant would be, say it's a plant that doesn't grow around you, or you can't find one, or it's a special type of plant that's worth a bunch of money but easy to work with. Just order one off eBay, get it growing, and then you can just start taking cuttings from it from there. I mean, it's just like a flawless business, really. It's all about how much work you put into it too, like how much advertising time, etc. If you want to go local, if you just want to do eBay, I mean, there's tons of different options. I mean, you could really do this as a full-time thing. I mean, things like hostas, you could sell bundles of hostas for $10 a bundle, and those things just grow like crazy. You get them started, and they take over everything. And I mean, a great way to do this business is just working with what's already growing. Like I said, you can even talk to your neighbors or something. Neighbor's a gardener, see them, they got a bunch of hostas growing. Well, hostas are like an invasive plant, basically, and always are overgrowing themselves, so you got to kind of cut them back to keep them in check every year. Well, they're going to just end up probably throwing away those hostas that they cut out, which are perfectly good plants that you could resell and would grow perfectly fine when transplanted into another garden. Just doing things like that in general, just selling plants is huge, but the rooted cuttings where it's really at, because you can produce the product yourself, you don't have to store anything, you can set it up with eBay or whatever place you're doing it, that you can have a 2-week time span to produce the product before you even have to ship it. I mean, you basically just produce stuff after it already sells. All the plants will already be growing outside, so you just don't have to worry about it. They take care of themselves. And yeah, wait for the money to roll in, basically. But other than just selling wild cutting or rooted cuttings, you can also get into a whole ton of different types of things. For example, you can get just wholesale plants in general. You could grow wholesale flowers, just get a bunch of water bottles or whatever, start a bunch of flowers, and do just like I said for the rooted cuttings. And still, it's going to be probably cheaper to ship these things unless it's like a delicate flower, something that you can't transplant or it's going to die when you transplant. Those are the only ones you would ship in soil, basically, or the ones that would die without it. And yeah, you can basically just take all the dirt off, so it's just a plant that you're shipping. They weigh basically nothing. I mean, just a regular small plant that's not much more than a foot isn't going to weigh more than an ounce, really, depending on what it is. Maybe if it's a sapling and it's a foot tall, it might be a few ounces, but still, that's all first-class shipping for a single plant, just basic priority for a large group. And I mean, it's just, you can't go wrong selling plants. It's just the way it goes. Well, selling plants this way anyway, you don't want to invest into a bunch of plants. You have to start growing first before you sell, only to not even know for sure if and when they're going to sell, essentially. If you're going to do something like that, I recommend growing like a herb or something that you can harvest yourself, dry out, and resell afterwards. But yeah, you can do things like wholesale lots of flowers. These things sell all the time. Just a daylily, a lot of 10 live plants selling for $45. Prairie blue eyes, I don't know what that one is, but it's selling for $50 for 20 of them. 2 of them already sold, and others are watching. Basically, there's just endless plants up here for sale. There's endless plants out there to grow, and just find out what's in demand or what people want and grow those, basically. Or, of course, like I said, just grow random things after it already sold. Like, you could set your eBay auction to say, basically grow on demand essentially, and you can say right in your listing how long it's going to take. I think eBay though has a mandatory thing where you can only set it out like four weeks or 6 weeks handling time, but still you could grow plants from seeds in that time. You could even start a bunch of seeds. Say you sold 20 flowers, just plant like 50 flower seeds. You know, you're probably going to get 40 out of that 50. And you just mail them out after they're growing and stuff. You're producing a product here, and it just takes little to no work at all when you're dealing with landscaping plants. Because you don't have to worry about things like toxic soil or things getting in there that aren't organic or things like that, because nobody's eating this stuff. Unless, of course, it's a herb, then I just recommend going organic because it's just easier and more in demand, etc. And yeah, other than that, you can also grow, what's this one? You can also go and harvest wild plant seeds. Just go around looking for seeds, nuts, acorns, etc. Find good quality seeds, and you can sell them by, generally by the 100, but depending on the plant, like right here, 5 seeds are going for $2.75 plus shipping. Basically anything out there, you can go and find wild seeds. Make sure to say in your title or in your description that they are wild harvested seeds, because a lot of people, they want specifically the seeds that are grown by like a professional plant nursery that are going to come out with like no genetic defects or whatever, or they're going to be the perfect plant every time you grow one of the seeds, blah blah blah. Basically they've been genetically enhanced or whatever, selective propagation for the plant. And yeah, through that they get special seeds that can grow more like, or grow better plants with bigger yields, etc. But there's still huge money in wild seeds. You just go out and find like even cattail seeds. Just go out and cut off some of them pods from cattails, and you can turn around and sell those right on eBay. Any type of seed like that, though, you can also sell it for a different purpose, like group together a bunch of wild seeds you found and sell it as bird food or something. You can market it a bunch of different ways, but there's really good money in selling seeds and things like that. Like right here, 50 plus ginseng seeds selling for $5.50 plus shipping. 41 of these is already sold, and see how long this has been going here. I guess it doesn't say how long this has been up for sale, but still, 41 of these sold. That's a good chunk of money right there. But that's for ginseng. That's one of the most popular, most expensive things out there. And I mean, you could even buy it wholesale like this, get 500 ginseng seeds. These are selling for $20, whereas just before, 50 of them were selling for $5.50. So I mean, out of that, you get well, basically, let's see here, 50, it'd be 10. So 5 times 10, you'd make $50 off a $20 investment, basically. $30 profit. And yeah, you don't have to buy and resell them, though. You can just go find seeds for the randomest things. As long as you can identify the plant, it's really the whole battle in this business, is being able to identify plants. You can always use a plant form, though, just like take a picture of a plant and post it on a form and be like, what is this? Just Google plant forms or something, or like flower form. You can just do it that way, or you can make an eBay listing saying like mystery plant, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody's going to come along and identify it for you, because that's what a lot of people, they can't resist letting you know what something is if they know what it is and you don't know what it is. People just love doing that. And yeah, you can, let's see here. You can also do it with trees here. Here I got some trees. You can go out and find pre-growing trees. That would be huge. Just like a tree that's already growing in the woods, just go out, take a picture of it. Once it sells, list it up and ship it out. Or you could even take it out, basically take it out of the woods, put it in a pot, and see if it's going to live. Because a lot of times when you transplant something like that, it dies. But I mean, if you can get it transplanted once and it survives, odds are it's going to do it again, as long as you don't damage the root system and you're extra careful. Because once you're getting it out of a pot, it's a lot easier. You're not going to rip up all the roots and damage it like you do when you're taking it out of the ground. There's a lot of factors that come into play that make it easier when you're just doing it out of a pot rather than out of natural soil in the woods, you know. And yeah, basically selling things like that is huge money. You can just find a 3-foot tall tree that's already growing, you know. That's like a $20 tree right there generally, for the most part. If not, clump together 3 trees and sell them for 20 bucks, because a lot of times in the same area where you find one, there's going to be several of the same plant growing. And I mean, these plants are probably just going to end up dying or getting rooted out anyway, because let's face it, it's growing in a forest and it's evolution, they're competing with each other. So a lot of these plants are going to get rooted out, killed, not even survive. It's interesting too how certain groups of trees, like say there's 100 pine trees and then there's an elm tree that gets planted in the middle of the pine trees will actually starve the elm plant by making it so the elm plant can't get proper nutrients through its roots and things like that. Plants actually work together like that. It's pretty crazy. But also, there's other things you can do, like you could dry flowers and sell them and press them. You could press them or just dry them, essentially. Pressing them is probably worth a little bit more money and probably a little bit more easier on space, but just drying them randomly is a lot easier, like time-wise, and it's a lot less of a hassle because you just throw them out and let them dry, and then you can sell them. But pressed flowers sell real well, too. You know, people use them for crafts, weddings, all kinds of different crap. You can just go to Goodwill and buy like a thick textbook for $2 and just fill page after page with these things, and that's the best way to do it. Press them like that and then just put like a rock on top of the book to add extra weight so they all get pressed. You can do that with fall leaves too. Like fall leaves are a huge one. Like let's see, if you got like 100 of one type of leaf, that's a really good way to sell them. Right here, 300 leaves selling for $10, 100 pieces selling for $2, blah blah blah. Still, basically you're getting like 3 cents a leaf here, if not more. Like if you have, like right here, 120 maple leaves is selling for $8.23. I mean, that's just pressed leaves, you know. You go pick them up and then you can turn around and sell them for 6, 7, 8 cents a piece. It's basically like just picking up dimes out of your yard when you look at it like that. And they do sell surprisingly fairly well because people use them for crafts, like I said, for weddings, for parties, all kinds of different stuff people use these things for. And yeah, you just got to go out there, save them up, put them in a book and press them. After about 2 weeks to a month of being pressed like that, they're dried out and ready for sale. And fall leaves, obviously, are going to be your best bet for doing that. You can also do dried herbs, like I was saying. You can go out and find them, too. Catnip grows like crazy around here, and that sells pretty well on eBay dried out. Or you could sell live plants, of course. But, yeah, any type of herb you can think of, you can grow and dry. You can grow, dry out, and sell on eBay. Yeah, like there's even one plantain. It grows in like almost anybody's yard. It's like that circular leaf. Just look up plantain sometime. You can go out and find that all over the place. I mean, it only sells for like $2 an ounce, but still, when you're looking at it like that, you could go out and walk through a field and pick up like 100 ounces over 4 hours span of time, you know. Just going out looking for random stuff in the woods is a huge way to make money doing this kind of business. And, yeah, let's see what else here. Yeah, just landscaping plants in general are what I recommend really, really dealing with, because a lot of them grow through cuttings. They're in demand, and a lot of, you can even get private contractors who will strictly just go to you to have you produce their product or their plants that they use in landscaping jobs. You can sell them on eBay. There's really just no limit. Landscaping plants just really, they're the least amount of effort you have to put in. They're the easiest to maintain. They're still in a really high demand, just like fruits and edible plants. And yeah, you can just mass produce them too, like I said, through rooted cuttings. All you need is one mother plant, which you need to get pretty big. You'd even have them growing in your yard, just in your backyard. Plant like 100 different types of landscaping bushes that you can cultivate through cuttings. And you can set up eBay auctions, 5 plants of this plant for $20. Whenever one sells, you just go out, clip a few cuttings off, get them rooted. Now you have a product and sell it for $20, and it's that easy. I mean, it's a huge way to make money. You could easily make it a full-time business, or even just do it part-time, where you just go around, find random things, dig them up and sell them, or just sell random types of plants or groups of cuttings or groups of plants. And yeah, go out and collect the cuttings or dig them up right on the spot after they sell. So that way you don't have to take care of the plants yourselves, A, and it doesn't take up space, B, and C, doesn't cost you any money to take care of the plant. So, I mean, it's huge. Anyway, it's just another good business plan or business idea that can be taken a lot of different directions, really. And yeah, selling plants on eBay or any other avenues is a great way to make money. Thanks for watching, and best wishes to all.